It's Podular. Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We're almost at the 50 mark, folks. This is episode 49. It is Thursday, October 2nd. We are on the heels of STS9's return to Charleston, South Carolina. Almost the same exact dates as last year. So, what we're going to do this week, spend some time recapping last year's two-night run at the refinery in Charleston, South Carolina. Going through the two-night run, sharing our favorite clips. We also got a bonus track for you from the great state of South Carolina. But before we get into it, introduce my host, Mr. Scotty Fuller. How you feeling today?
Feeling good, buddy. I'm feeling wonderful. As our listeners hear this, to break the fourth wall a little bit, you'll be somewhere in Greece, and
Somewhere in the agency, yes.
and my ass will still be somewhere in Colorado, where I will happily be taking care of a toddler. But we are getting this one in a little bit early,
Yeah.
to fulfill our weekly commitment because we don't fucking miss. And so we're recording this probably around 10 days early,
Yeah. September
and
23rd right now. We're talking to the future people right now. It feels a little bit
exactly
weird.
the future
And
Podular.
yeah. Yeah, so apologies if there's any big announcements that we're missing. We promise we will get back to them in for episode 50, the big 50, Scotty, for next week. But what we do know is that STS9's got some shows coming up here in Charleston, back to the Southeast. But Scotty, you talked about the future of Podular, right? There was some recruitment happening, right?
Oh,
Did you hear about this? A
I
possible commitment from a top recruit
I did
in the
hear about
broadcast.
this.
Yeah,
I heard that we're revealing it live on Podular right now.
they are. They are. It's the transfer portal's crazy. But I feel like with these top recruits that are doing their commitment reveals, I feel like I would do my recommitment reveal right on camera here. And you know how they got the hats laid out on the table and everything like that. I've got a few hats here. I've got a Pardon My Take hat. I've got a Matt and Shane Secret Podcast hat. I've got a Podular hat right here. So, officially announcing my commitment to Podular. This one is gonna fall flat a little bit with the listeners, I know, but for
If
any of
you're
you guys,
watching this,
if you're watching this, we've got our first piece of podcast merch here. All right. Big ups to Brandon Pearl for helping me put this idea together. We've got some black snapback white rope corduroy hats with the black and white Podular logo embroidered on the front. All right. So I'll make my official commitment here. Keep this on for the rest of the
oh,
episode.
with
Yeah.
the black and white B Pearl shirt, my friend,
Had to do it.
you have outdressed me today.
Had to do it. You got some B Pro BPNS on
I
yourself.
do,
That's
I
good.
do, I do. I usually
Um,
do.
so yeah, we printed a few of these, a handful of them. There are a few available, and we will make that information on how to contact me and get a hold of one here in the near future, guys. But super excited. This is what we picture to be the first of many forays into the merch side of things for the podcast here, because I mean, our right hand man, our recurring guest, B Pro, being as close he is to us and being so kind to provide us with the artwork and the logos and everything like that. We know that guy is a merch machine when it comes to creating ideas and everything like that, especially soundtrack related. Right, Scotty?
Yes, yes. So we will get these dropped. If there is an overwhelming demand for more, we will get more ordered. Please reach out. We're coming up on a year here, and we're gonna have to renew our podcast software soon. So show some love. We'll order more if we need to.
Yes, sir. All right. So, Scotty, let's get back to the business at hand here.
Yes, sir.
Um, Sound Tribe is headed back to the Southeast. Is there a better area of the country to see STS9 than the
Not
Southeast.
not for my money, partner. Not
Mhm.
for my money. I Southeast Sound Tribe. I don't know if it's the humidity in the air or the familiar roots and the people. The just the general vibe of crowds that might not necessarily be traveling across country for Sound Tribe, but when they're in that neck of the woods, they're gonna pull up and. I don't know. That's obviously I'm partial because that is my Sound Tribe. That is where I've probably seen this band more times than maybe Colorado being the exception. And Charleston is one that I haven't had a chance to catch Sound Tribe at before. But man, what a cool town! I spent some time there last March. My in-laws, a bunch of them live out there, and so. I envy anybody that's making it out there this Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a real good time.
Hell yeah. I haven't been myself. It's been a city that's been on my list for a very long time. I
Oh,
think
you
we had a
never been to
wedding.
Charleston at all?
No, not at all.
Cool.
Spent most of that time in that coast in North Carolina, right?
Sure.
But no, I think last year we had a wedding, and then this year, obviously, we're somewhere in the Mediterranean or Aegean Sea. So maybe at some point the stars will align. But what makes Charleston special, Scotty?
I mean, it's a coastal town. The downtown area is beautiful. The architecture is very old school, and there's the old trees and great seafood, and it's picturesque. It's if you've ever been to Savannah, it's kind of the same vibe. And I don't know anything about this venue, but I know that they really like the state of South Carolina. They usually cook up something special down there. I yeah, that it's just a nice old school Southern town. I think anybody would have a good time there. Great food.
Yeah, you bookended it with that, and that's what you got my attention. I've heard this is a great food city,
Mhm.
and the seafood is aplenty and available. Seems like a haunted place too, probably, right, Scotty?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
a little spooky. Anywhere that's that old is definitely got a few ghosts. Maybe you guys
Hmm.
will be in store for a dusk or a twilight or something of the like because for all intents and purposes, this is the closest thing we're getting to a Halloween show this year.
That is true. Well, I mean, by the time you're going to be in LA, it's going to be Christmas time. So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Sure.
Big history buff too. I've heard there's a lot of great history tours in Charleston. So again, anybody who's going is not in for just what are sure to be two great shows from Sound Tribe Sector 9, but a great weekend in a great destination city here. So get out and enjoy yourselves. But let's get into it, man. Like I talked about, we're not necessarily going to dive into the Charleston time capsule, but since these shows last year at the refinery happened just a few weeks before the birth of this podcast, we haven't had the chance to review those shows yet. So we're going to do something pretty similar to what we did with our man Bodie, and just kind of recapping those Montana shows from last year. Last year, so taking you through this 2 night run, discussing the set list, sharing our favorite clips, and getting you pumped up for this year's 2 night run. But yeah, first starting with the venue, Scotty. From what I heard, great outdoor venue. I heard it was a little bit rainy last year, but it seemed like there was a great uh, area with a few bars and restaurants around. And who doesn't love outdoor STS9, especially in the fall in the South, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of a la Asheville a couple of years ago. That neck of the woods at that time. It's great, man. It's football season. This is going to be a fun weekend to be in the South. You got a lot of good games to watch before you head to the venue. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yes, sir. All right. So we start with night one, 2000, or sorry, October 4th, 2024. Let's talk openers with this one, man. Where do we start with this one?
Who were the openers for this one?
No, sorry, the opening song. I don't remember
Oh,
if there were openers.
I don't
I,
either. Okay.
I
Oh,
said
my bad.
I say openers because
Ah,
like these two songs
sure.
feel like just like a double opener in that sense, right?
A glow stintly, I guess you could.
Glowstantly, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue.
I'm just gonna go with Glowgly into instantly. What the fuck, dude?
Yes.
What a way to start a weekend. You've seen him open shows with both individually. And as much as you'd think that you'd see these two songs together, I don't think it's happened very
Well, even with
often,
this, even
right?
with even with this one, the instantly kind of shows up like like the friend everyone loves, but they forgot to invite to the party, and he shows up, and they're like, oh fuck yeah, he's here. You know,
Mhm.
it's not a smooth segue.
Yeah.
Instantly just kind of pops out of nowhere like a ghost. Uh, but it's still two songs that sound really good together. And yeah, two that I don't think have been played together historically, maybe once or twice, but I can't think of the time off the top of my head.
Only 44 shows in history where they've been
These
even
two have
played
been
on the
played
same
together.
show. So yeah, actually doing some more research. I mean, it looks like it has been done in the last 10 years, actually. I mean, 6 years ago, before this, at least, the Saturday show at Pisgah in 2018, July 14th, we did see a Globally instantly into Rent. That is a very strong segment right there. But it had been a while, and I don't know if we'd ever seen it to open a show either. So, really strong segment start off here. Obviously, these two are a match made in heaven, and when you start to hear the instantly samples at the end of Glowgly, and then the Glowgly samples sprinkled throughout instantly,
Hmm.
proper start to a 2 night run, right?
All right, and then that brings us into our first proper clip of the night. We're gonna do it now. Give the people what they want.
Please.
Yo,
Good God.
what the fuck was Phipps on, bro? Like that's ridiculous. That was fucking insane. You imagine, dude, I just picture them practicing that beforehand, and they get done, and everyone is just looking at Phipps, and Phipps is like,
He's just in
and,
his own world.
and Phipps is like, what? And they're like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, what, motherfucker? Yeah, why don't you play it like that every time? Like, there's so
Uh,
much room in that DMB part for him to move on those keys that I've never heard him utilize like that outside of this version. I mean, Hunter stands out a little bit too, but to me, this is all Phipps, like a proper piano. This is like what what a DMB axe to be on right now would almost sound like.
ooh, now we're talking. Okay. I had that exact thing in my head. Um, and I'm gonna table that for a second. I'm gonna you gave me a little bit of backlash on that random Beyond right now thrown into that Boulder Theater set one, right? Um, what I'm not gonna say frustrates me, but gets me thinking about like this song is like when they don't add that drum and bass section. It's just like it really ties the room together on this one, man. And like it really gives that slow section before they go into D&B more depth. Like that is just like when you look back on it, that is just such quintessential Hunter Brown. Like the dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun,
Oh yeah.
dun,
And
dun, dun. It's just why not every time?
Yeah,
Um,
I gotta admit a little bit of cognitive bias on this one because this is my first STS9 song. This was
okay.
show opener, Oxford, Mississippi, March 3rd, 2010. This is the first live song I ever heard. And so a huge spot in my heart for this song. But outside of the bias that I have for it, just because it was, kind of the first hook, this song doesn't sound like any other STS9 songs. It's
No, it's one of
it,
those for
yeah,
sure.
we've called it Stadium STS9 before, and that's what this is. And I agree with you. I think because it is so different from a majority of its peers in the catalog, it sometimes it does stick out like a sore thumb on set lists,
Yeah.
and that Boulder Theater shows a great example of that because you didn't have quite the fleshed out section like you do here.
Well, there was a theme of a lot of P Splash that night, and there was that same theme here on this night as well. So I understand that. But the first time I'd seen it with that drum and bass section, and we'll be back to this version, Friday, September 21st, 2018, at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee. And that one it has the drum and bass extension, but that one is much more Hunter Brown centric on the drum and bass
Right.
section. This one is special David Phipps.
Yeah, very special.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't. I mean, he clowns on that piano from time to time, but like, I mean, this 2 3 minutes of just him getting busy on the ivories is something that you don't see very often outside of the slower songs or like an axe set.
Yeah. And that axe set idea, I had never thought of that. I don't know if have we heard Beyond right now axed.
I feel like we have.
One time it has been axed one time. I'm gonna look for which show that is. But I don't think it was with Alana. Yeah, it was at the winery show, Mountain
That's what I
Winery in
thought. That's what
Saratoga.
I thought. I thought it was an early
Um,
one.
but with all the fuckery they do with drum and bass in uh axe shows nowadays, like this would fit right in. You could see this
Yeah.
going into like you know, Roni Size
Yes,
cover.
I was just thinking that. That was the
Yeah.
first thought that came into my head.
Why am I blanking on the name of that song?
New forms.
New Forms, Mischief, right?
Oh, the
We
second half of Mischief, that'd be a heady.
yeah. Uh-huh. I see a lot of potential there. So that is a great idea. I'd never thought of that, Scotty. But
That's why
Whew,
they pay me the
man,
big
that's a
bucks.
good one. That's worth we're 3 songs in with that, and then they keep the Peace Blaster theme going here. I guess it's just these 2 songs that night. It felt
Yeah,
like more just because they're back to back to start the first set.
and they're
But
two, in my
oh
opinion, of the stronger Peace Blaster songs.
yeah, yeah, certainly, and 2 very different ones that stand out, and 2 more rare ones for sure. Unlike your Hidden Hand Infidus or your Meta Meme, which I think came the next night. But yeah, A Little Brain, always a treat. We started the episode with a clip of that. I felt a little personally attacked because on a day where I'm debuting a new hat, anytime I think "Oh Little Brain," I think of myself as like, "Oh, huge dome." But
Yeah, you and me both, buddy.
the black hat is a little thinner, makes me a little bit more fitting of that "A Little Brain." But yeah, I mean, when is this song not special?
I mean,
We were
this is one of my favorite STS9 songs. I mean, to this day, it was the one that I've been chasing the longest. It's definitely the one that when I got it, I literally fucking fell to my knees. It was in Nashville in 2022 on
mhm.
night 2. Tiberius was right behind me. I heard him cackle laugh when I fell because I threw my hands up, and then he said I just disappeared completely out of his sight line because I fell to my fucking knees.
Have you ever driven through a snowstorm while listening to "Oh Little Brain"?
No, but I drove through a snowstorm listening to Hidden Hand, Hidden Fist after the 2014-2015 run. Uh
That's Blizzard music. Yeah.
Yo, it was a fucking blizzard, son. It was some of the wildest weather that I've ever driven through, and obviously I was completely in my right mind when I did that. I would never do something so stupid otherwise. But yeah, no, it was like Star Wars when you go into
Yeah.
hyperdrive. It's
Right.
wild.
Exactly. Yeah, "Oh Little Brain," and then we get into "Human Dream," which little did we know at this point, that would be the name of the concept of the new album. But this a Chromolite song, which we saw a decent chunk of Chromolite songs on this little 2 night run last year. And then we won't be clipping it here tonight. This is for my money one of the better dusks for sure. You get a little modular jam off the back end of it. This is one worth revisiting for sure to get you pumped up for this coming weekend. But wouldn't be surprised if we see it as a repeat just with the recent release of it, which I'm still
Sure.
not over. I'm still not over Studio Dusk. Are you, Scotty?
No, no, I've actually got a couple of videos that I'll upload, but Jay really likes playing with the Sonos speaker, and for the last few days, I mean, honestly, now like a week and a half or so, it's usually the Human Dream 2 that plays on the Sonos speaker he plays with, and every time Studio Dust comes on, does this little dance like this.
Oh,
And
hell
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's great. No, I love this song. It honestly, I think I said this a few weeks ago. Nothing against their studio work. It's always super high quality, but when you see the shows like we do, we always find live versions that are a little stronger. The Studio Dusk is as good as anything that they've ever done live with it.
Yes, 100%. Um, and then a 1-2 punch to knock out this second set. This second set is kind of flipped on its head a little bit in terms of kind of what you would imagine
Sure, it
as
is
the
kind of
order of it.
yeah.
We won't give away the next clip with what I'm talking about. We'll talk about that after. But yeah, you get a circus, which no, I'm done. Scotty. I'm at this point. I wasn't. I'm done complaining about circus. I've accepted it.
You've graduated from your circus 12-step program, and
Yes.
you were on the straight and narrow.
Yep, I've made my amends. I've said my apologies. But you guys can keep giving me a hard time at shows anytime it pops up. But yeah, that brings us to our second clip, which is the finale of the first set.
Dude, this is a perfect
And
set.
fucking huge, Scott.
This is
I
a
was
perfect set.
just looking at this on paper. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
All
no, like
right.
come
So
on,
let's
bro.
take it. Yeah. Should I read it for everybody again? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, go
Globally,
ahead.
globally into instantly. Beyond right now with drum and bass ending. Oh Little Brain into Human Dream. Dusk with the modular jam, Circus, and then this really what?
And a fat
That's
human dream too, not like a little
yeah.
interlude human dream, like
Hmm.
a big, thick, almost what? Yeah, it's 6.5 minute human dream, like
Hmm.
uh, uh, juice on everything.
Yep.
And song selection, whatever kind of fan you are. If you're into song selection, that's all you care about is what they play. Yeah, there you go, bro. You're into how they play, you don't really give a fuck what they play. Here you go, dude. Like this is perfect. This is fucking perfect, dude. This is one of the best sets of last year.
You like their new shit? Yeah, here you go. Oh, you like
Yeah.
Peace Blaster? Here you go. Oh, you like Artifact? Here you go. Oh, you like
Yep.
old shit that's not on albums? Here you go.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit of something for everybody. And yeah, on paper it just looks really good. All right, much needed set break on that night, and then on to set two. For a section we're not seeing as much anymore, and we felt like we were kind of seeing it every time that they played these two with spending time in the sky high. This might have been the last time that they did this, if I remember correctly. But I think spending time as a second set opener gets a little bit slept on. I think that's a vibe setter for sure. Um, and just gets them in that drum and bass mode. And then, I mean, this Sky High eclipses 10 minutes as well. So really strong opening segment. Um, yeah, how do you feel about this, Scotty?
I love spending time. It's funny you say that. I was just thinking. I feel like we haven't heard much of that song since this weekend. Has was this is this last time played?
Let me pull that up. But very well might have been. Dude, honestly, thinking back on that, still thinking about that for a sec. Like, um, how that Beyond Right Now didn't end up on our best moments of 2024. We that might have been an omission right there. Yes, you're
Yeah,
correct. This is the
that was
last time it was played.
yeah.
Mhm,
I think these two songs are damn near sweet status,
mhm.
and yeah, I would love to see this return. I don't think you're going to this weekend, but it probably will see Sky High and yeah, spending time's always been kind of a slept on favorite of mine. Um, I love drum and bass. It's not my favorite version of STS9. But this one in particular ranks pretty high as far as drum and bass songs go for me. And then a really cool section and spending time into Sky High into You Don't Say,
Yeah.
which is another one that we haven't seen a whole lot of lately.
Yeah, you don't say. I think didn't we just talk about you don't say
Did
where they
we?
flipped it? Yeah. But huh? You are correct. Wow. We
Last time
had
played
been
too?
yes, last time played. I feel like we were just talking about like a you don't say into March and then a March into you don't say. But that might have been happened before this show. So yeah, another last time played for this one here too. And then we get into 1103 into the Out of This World, which is a fun combination that we've seen in the past as well. Um, this Out of This World has a standout modular jam as well. Um, not one that goes somewhere like the other modular jams do this weekend, but a cool um, extension of the track for sure. And then we get into more Chromolite with light reveals into Walk to the Light. Wow. Um, I like light reveals a lot. Zach plays the shit out of his kit during that song.
Yes.
And it's just a cool bouncy way to kind of intro another track. I'd like to see it pop up. We've kind of seen the Chromolite stuff, some of it kind of put on the back burner a little bit. Obviously, it's going to happen with, um, the focus being on a new project this year in 2025. But that's one that is always fun. And then this Walk to the Light was special because I remember seeing videos of somebody getting engaged during this one. So that was always a cool moment. Someone's dropping the knee and popping the question during an STS9 show. And yeah, this is a standout version as well of Walk to the Light of over 10 minutes. Scotty, I know you love this one.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that when this podcast started that we would have talked about Walk to the Light at least 4 or 5 times at this point. This song has really grown legs, and started to dance around, and not just be another song played in the set, but during certain moments a swinging for song of the set. I don't know if I would call it that in this set, but "Walk to the Light" for me has made that full 180 from a song that I hate the term bathroom break song. I intentionally don't use it, but one of those songs that if I did need to go get a drink or something, probably the one I would take to one that I'm not walking away for now. It's always a party these days. So as a set closer, I think it makes a lot of sense. And for this set in particular, it fits in really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you take a look at this set list or this set on paper. We're going to get into the encore after this, but spending time in a sky high into You Don't Say, 11:03 into Out of This World, Light Reveals into Walk to the Light. A lot of new stuff there compared to that first set, which going back to that thought of that first set kind of being flipped on its head, right? You'd think Glowgly instantly would be set closer and the traditional opener being really what. So I'm sure they had that in mind as something to play around with as well, because that set would work flip the other way around really well too. But
Yeah.
it's always cool to hear really what in a different slot than the opener. But yeah, that brings us to our encore here, and these folks at Charleston got treated to two song encores this weekend. But we'll start here.
Let's go, Zach. Not a
That was
bad
fun.
way to encore.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I would be happy with that. Jesus fucking Christ.
And then they completely stop playing and give you an entire Inspired Strikes Back after that too. Um, just a nice double portion of classic Sector 9 right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking on this Wicca, I mean, these kind of soundboards, obviously our man Brad mastering them, but make me miss our girl Kaya a little bit. Just the way, and I'm sure it'll get there, and the way they're being mixed right now live is great too. But just really how she mixed Jeffrey. I'm hearing it in this clip. I'm hearing it in the really what clip a lot, where he's loud, but he's not too loud, and he's like just perfectly mixed in with the rest of the percussion amongst Zach and Alana. Yeah, this is just Perk World going nuts during this breakdown, but then just giving the dance floor over to Phipps and Hunter. This is one of those all five, everyone's getting it tracks right here. For the great.
Absolutely. And
Uh,
kind of another one of my aha moments. I mean, Breathe In was my big one, but this song, the first time I heard it, I could not listen to it enough. And I'm
yeah.
always kind of taken to a certain time in my college life when this was the first song I wanted to hear whenever I would get in a car. I love Wicked Chicana.
Yeah, the first time I'd heard it at a show, it was early enough where I didn't know all their songs yet, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck was that?" All right, on to night two. We get started with Enceladus with a modular jam on the back end, which, yeah, shades of the 2023 Red Rocks Enceladus, where they kind of really started this type of modular jam. We heard it just about a month ago, in about sorry, I guess it'll be a couple months ago from the Grand Rapids um, show, that Enceladus modular jam. Um, Strong way to open the show, and it's in the same slot it opened the set. from that Red Rocks 2023 version. So if that's how they're going to play it, I love Enceladus to start a show.
I love Enceladus all the time.
Yeah.
Was there a point where you had a problem with this song?
No, I don't think so. No, I think there was a point where it had kind of struggled to find its identity a little bit. Did it meander a little bit? Did it lack a little bit of a fullness for sure? But I mean, it's really come around since even a year before this, where it's a highlight of the show every time I've seen it since then. So, but yeah, we don't go far for our first clip from night 2 as well. So we'll kick it off with the music from this night.
I mean,
Do not fuck around with Arrowhead, dude. Do not handle it carefully.
I know this is one of your favorites of late. Um,
mm,
I cannot believe this has not been on the first two Human Dream EPs.
I really hope we see it. I mean, I can't really think of a much better one than this one. You get the version to open up the East of the Sun run with the Crystal Instrument teases directly into Crystal Instrument. I think that one might be tops, but you talk about standalone arrowheads. Um,
This
it's
one's
just
right there.
yeah, it just keeps going, and it's listed with the help of modular on the set list, but they needed no help from any kind of modular section to elevate this kind of jam. This was just straight Phipps and Hunter clowning on this, and Alana stomping on it. Like, oh man, yeah, that one gets me going, dude.
I
That is a tops version.
I had oh man, I'm wondering if I should tell this story. You know what? Fuck it. This dude owes me money for a set list that he never paid me for. So I'm not gonna air him out by name, but I'll air out this story. During the pandemic, I had somebody call me and say, "Hey, do you want to hear unreleased studio STS9?" To which, of course, this is back before we knew any of them on a friendly level or anything like that. I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" We were in the house, and yeah, of course I wanted to. And so he played me two songs, one of which I still have not heard live, the other of which was Arrowhead. And so I have heard over a FaceTime a studio version of Arrowhead, so I know it's out there. If not on this album, I almost hope it's not on this album at this point. Just because I do have an appetite for some stuff that we've never heard before.
Yeah,
But I do hope at some point we get a proper studio version of this song because it belongs in the catalog on that level.
agreed. Yeah. Wow. Tough to move on from that. But we do with a really fun. We've seen old with the new with Walk the Sky with Walk the Sky into Tap In, and this one in particular, Gob Nugget into Walk the Sky. Um, yeah, a lot of fun there. And then you get into some more Chromolite material with the Dream State Patrol. I think this had been one of the few that had been played since that Chromolite show as well. I think a lot of people had been asking for it going into this weekend. And I think it's a cool track. So it's fun to watch him mix it in here. And then, Scotty, I think this was the second ever Shaky Ground. Am I right about that?
Yes, we got Red Rocks, and then this one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if we've seen a run since Red Rocks last year without at least one shaky ground. Correct?
Something like that. I don't know what you call a run anymore nowadays, but
It's a good point.
yeah,
It's a good point.
it's definitely popped up quite a bit for sure. Great. That brings us to the final segment of the first set in our second clip from night two. like Hunter saying "wow" at the end of that clip. Ow! Whoa. Okay. Forest Hue Puma. Um.
I saw you looking up stats. Share what you found.
Yeah. Only done one other time to open the show in the Caverns in 2022, the November 4th show. Um, which now I'm remembering how freaking epic that was. And I think this one might have been even smoother though, with like Phipps kind of taking you from Modular Land and Forest Hue like into the Oregon, and then kind of having the whole band slow down on the more of that OG Puma um, intro than some of the funkier 2014 through 2016 Pumas, where they've kind of gotten back to that OG intro a little bit more. And then yeah, you think this is gonna be a funk song, like centered around, but then Phipps just every time turns it
Yep.
like the Cynthia's dance party.
Yep. I was just thinking how scathingly different Phipps feels on night 2 of this run to night 1. It just kind of goes to the many modes that guy can enter. Very piano heavy night 1, very synth heavy night 2. And it is probably one of the best examples of it is at the beginning of that Puma. That was my exact thought as I was listening to it too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you heard it too though. Does it sound like the band hit like some kind of like dance hall filter when they get into that drum breakdown? Like you heard a little bit
Huh.
more of an emptier, like hollower, like echoey sound when they break it
Sure.
down with the drums. And then like you kind of heard it come into Hunter's tone too when they brought it back in, and then they kind of hone it back to that like tight synthy like sound. I could be hearing things, but I don't know that the drum kit sounded way different for about 30 or 45 seconds during that clip.
I mean, to your point, whether there's something different on that part or not, the quality of these soundboards is just pristine. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a reason that Kaya is working for one of the biggest bands right now in the scene. She was
Yeah,
she
we'll
was
leave it
a
at that. One of the biggest.
Yeah, one of the I said one of the
Yeah.
biggest.
Yeah.
And she was a hot commodity for a reason. She's very very good at what she did, and really gives space for every band member to shine audibly on the soundboard
Mhm.
and on that Forest Hue Puma.
Great way to end the first set. You're just reading that on paper too. So Enceladus, Arrowhead, Gobnugget into Walk the Sky, Dream State Patrol, Shaky Ground, Forest Hue into Four-Year Puma. Very interesting. Very interesting first set, but super solid for sure. Um, Set two, Scotty. What do we got?
Yeah, starting off with a lift you up opener into modular. Not the longest lift you up, but a super solid version that takes us to another Peace Blaster song.
Yep.
The
First raise spell track of the weekend there too. Yeah.
Yes. First race spell track, and then the first Peace Blaster track of the night
Mhm.
in Metameme.
And then that brings us to our third and final clip from this run before our bonus clip.
Whoa, whoa. What a plug pull. I was vibing.
I love the back end of when the Dust Settles Surprise as well. But let's talk about Hayes. Um,
Yeah. What's your favorite Chromolite song?
I I think I still go back to Hayes. Um, yeah, I think it's still got to be Hayes for me. I mean, it's been played 7 times now. It doesn't seem like it's been played 7 times. Um,
Really, to me it does. I feel like I've seen every single one of them.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen all the rest of them. This is the only one I've caught just once or twice, I think. Yeah, I've only seen it twice. They did this same section, Hayes in the When the Dust Settles, to open the show in Nashville in 2024. And that was like the first Hayes in the Wild after the Chromolite show. So it taken them quite a while from July to April for them to play it in a show. But I don't know, man. Something about it really gets my blood moving. Refraction's one that's sneaking up there for me.
Sure.
I really dig Refraction, but
I'd
um,
say I'd say mine are probably Searchlight, Fires, or Haze. Um,
I do
but
love Fires. I do love Searchlight. Yeah,
I think Hayes was the one that stood out for me the earliest.
yeah,
I remember very, very clearly when that song was played the first night of Red Rocks and thinking, oh, that's they've got one there. And also not really understanding or knowing what was going on fully, if that was just an improv or if this was recorded material. And we've gotten more context to that since, but whatever that was the first time they played it, I remember thinking that that one was definitely the standout of that first night to me, in my opinion.
hmm yeah, for sure. That like just for months I was listening to Hayes, and that one in particular, I was like, this one's a little bit different. This one's a little bit more interlude-y. That one had like strength and like a hook and like a Hunter Brown like peak a little bit to it. But either way, it gets my head bopping. And I love the combination of it with When the Dust Settles Reprise too. I think that's
Absolutely.
just match made in happen. So what's the one that I think fits in their catalog the best is like quickly? I think it's Hayes for sure.
Yeah.
Um, then we move on along in the second set here. Get the longest track of the weekend with a nearly 15-minute ABCs uh, drum and bass party with this one. They've really seemed to be loving this song recently. I don't hate it, but um, yeah, I mean, he's never going to argue with an almost 15-minute ABCs here. So,
Not at all, but I think it's funny the first night of this run last year I listened to today and thought this is way better than I remembered it. I don't really remember having any feelings about the Charleston run last year. And going back to it today, I remember night one being considerably better than what I remember it. And not to not to take digs, but I would say this night it isn't as good as I remember it. And I think where it really kind of falls off a cliff here is set two. Not to say that all of these songs aren't amazing in their proper place, but just not a whole lot of flow to this, and kind of
yeah,
a random ABCs amongst what's before and after it.
yeah.
um, I'm sure this ABCs is amazing. I couldn't remember anything about it before I listened to it today, and I think that's just this kind of just falls victim to weird flow.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. Like lift you up, Metameme, Haze, and When the Dust Settles. That's really the middle is where you see the most flow, right?
Sure.
Metameme, Haze, When the Dust Settles Reprise. This is a great segment. Um, then this ABCs, which like you said, weird placement after like a big, powerful When the Dust Settles Surprise, and then a dance party and Never Never, and a Click Clang Echo. But put a nice little modular jam at the end of Killer Clang Echo.
Sure,
And then
sure.
another 2-song encore, another classic in Hubble. So up to that point, your encore songs were Wicca, Inspire, and Hubble. And then finish it off with The World Go Round, which, you know what? They earned it at the end of that week.
Sure. Sure. That's fine. Yeah, the world go round's fine. I think just in light of set two, I think maybe you go When the Dust Settle. That's a lot of new at the end, but I think that ABCs almost fits better in the encore, kind of a la a standalone Hubble, standalone ABCs like they did standalone Inspire and standalone Wicca the night before.
Yep.
And maybe that whole second set encore kind of lands a little smoother for me.
Yeah. Either way, fun 2-night run to revisit, my man.
Sure.
But we've got a bonus track from the great state of South Carolina. We don't know when the next time we were going to get to talk about this one was. So we're going to go back to 2015 with a bonus track here to finish out our clips to get you ready for some South Carolina Sector 9.
was a really good year for dance.
A really good year for Sound Tribe Sector 9. Again, that is 2015, November 15th at the Music Farm in Columbia, South Carolina, down in Gamecock country, baby. Um, yeah, let's correctly track that out. Dance into Bomb Track by Rage Against the Machine. Into Dance, into Bomb Track, into Dance.
Ooh.
That's so much fun, man. Rage Against the Machine isn't the first band you think of when you think of STS9 covering someone. So
Not necessarily, but not necessarily.
no, it's not
Both.
that it doesn't work. Like
It's something that was on the cutting room floor for this episode was the Nine Inch Nails intro that they did a couple of times and once in South Carolina. Another band that on their face may not scream Sound Tribe Sector 9, but both of those bands are very into pushing the limits of their instruments and what their music can sound like. And oftentimes it kind of veers into that Sector 9 lane a little bit.
yeah, like hip hoppy,
Sure.
rock,
Very
like
bass heavy.
yeah.
You talk about Rage Against the Machine, you got some pretty heavy breakbeat stuff going on there at times. So yeah, no, it's something that maybe not one that you would expect to hear, but when you hear him do it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Well, Scotty, that rounds out our clips. One thing left to do here. Got predictions, baby. All right.
Are these going to be our last points before for week 52?
Might be, depending on what we do in the last 3 episodes. So we'll
I was
see.
gonna say maybe we should do like a 1 year anniversary showdown where we do some kind of point thing live on air trivia or something. I don't know. We'll talk more off air about this, but we should throw a wrench in it at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So ceremonial Zen flip. We're back to Cool Mint here tonight. Uh, Heads, Cool Mint 6. Tails is the back end. Call it in the air.
Heads.
Oh, under my desk. It was heads. It's heads. You choose.
A man of honor. Let's
You
see.
deferring again?
I am deferring again.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah. I want to see what you got first.
Upward.
Okay. Let me see here. Last shows played were Dylan. I am going to go with a. I'm gonna go with a totem.
Totem. Love it. It's
Yeah.
a good call. Bible.
Okay. Let's see. For my second pick, let's go Moonsocket. No,
Moonsocket.
no, no, no,
Yeah, I
not
don't know if that's the
Moonsocket.
best pick. That's the
Not
last song they
Moonsocket.
played.
Yeah. Let's go. Sorry, I'm so unprepared. Let's go EHM.
EHM. All right, my third and final pick is Pied Noir.
Okay. My third and final pick is Golden Gate.
Golden Gate. All right. Scotty's lineup, Totem, EHM, Golden Gate. My lineup, F Word, Bible, Pied Noir. If you were hoping one of us was right, which one were you hoping was right?
I mean, definitely hoping you're right,
Probably my
but
list, right?
yeah, I mean that's a pretty sick list. But we're not fucking. There's no such thing as style
Yeah,
points here. We're trying to get these songs.
I get it. I get it. I get it. We're scoring points. That's all we're doing. All right. Well, hope everybody is traveling safely to the shows in Charleston. Enjoy a wonderful city. Enjoy a wonderful 2 nights with the band. Thanks for watching and listening, folks. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Music, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, throw us a comment, throw us a review if you're feeling nice. Um, we'll be back next week with a review of these shows with some boots on the ground. So to be announced who that will be. We got a couple of weeks to figure it out here. But
Yeah, don't know who we've got for that, but if you are interested in ever being a boots on the ground for us, please slide in me or Nate's DMs. We're always open to have new people on the pod to chop it up, and we don't have one for Charleston. So if you're going to be
yeah,
there both nights, holler at us.
who wants to follow up our last guests? That's the big question. All right, much love, y'all.